This is Earth. The same planet where Twitter fights, dumb memes, and Netflix binges happen is also the stage for some of the most absurd, shocking, and downright hilarious events in human history. And here's the crazy part, these stories are all 100% real. Some of them will make you laugh. Some will make you shake your head. And others will leave you questioning how humanity ever made it this far. So buckle up, because today we're diving into the most unbelievable history facts that sound fake but aren't. Wars are supposed to be serious. Guns, strategy, life or death. But sometimes, history says otherwise. Take the German cruise liner in World War I. On the surface it looked like an ordinary passenger ship. But the Germans converted it into a disguised warship, painting it to look exactly like the British HMS Carmania. Clever, right? Except one problem, the real Carmania was nearby. And when the two ships met, it was like running into your own twin. Only this twin had bigger guns. After 2 hours of battle, the German ship was sunk by the very vessel it was pretending to be. And speaking of battles that didn't go to plan, Napoleon Bonaparte, one of history's greatest conquerors, was once defeated by rabbits. In 1807, he organized a rabbit hunt for himself and his men. But when the cages opened, instead of running away, the rabbits charged straight at Napoleon. Hundreds of them swarming toward the French emperor, forcing him and his soldiers to retreat. The hunter became the hunted. But if you think that's humiliating, wait until you hear this. In the 1930s, Australia declared war on emus. Yes, the flightless birds. Farmers considered them pests, so the government sent the military with machine guns against birds. But the emus proved too fast, too clever, and too many. In the end, the army retreated. The birds had won the war. Even the strongest leaders and armies in history sometimes lost to the most ridiculous enemies. Some wars last years. Others, decades. But one conflict holds the record as the shortest war in history. The Anglo-Zanzibar War. It lasted just 38 minutes. In 1896, the British demanded a sultan step down. He refused. At 9:02 a.m., British warships opened fire. By 9:40, the palace was rubble and the war was over. Over 500 Zanzibaris were dead or wounded. The British lost one injured sailor. On the other end of the spectrum is Liechtenstein's army. In 1866, the tiny nation sent 80 soldiers to join the Austro-Prussian War. They didn't fight, they didn't lose anyone. In fact, they came back with 81 men. They'd made a friend along the way. Soon after, Liechtenstein disbanded its army altogether. And honestly, after winning a war by adding soldiers instead of losing them, maybe they realized they were just too powerful. Sometimes, war doesn't just bring absurdity. It brings unexplainable survival stories. Like Tsutomu Yamaguchi, a Japanese engineer. On August 6, 1945, he was in Hiroshima when the first atomic bomb dropped. He survived, burned and injured, but alive. The very next day, he boarded a train back to his hometown, Nagasaki. On August 9, the second atomic bomb hit. And Yamaguchi survived again. He lived into his 90s, becoming a voice against nuclear weapons. Some called him the unluckiest man alive. Others, the luckiest. Then there's Alexander the Great. Conqueror of empires. A man who never lost a battle. But in 323 BC, at age 32, he suddenly fell ill and was declared dead. Yet his body didn't decompose for 6 days. Modern scientists now believe he wasn't dead at all, but paralyzed from Guillain-Barré syndrome. Completely conscious while being buried alive. History's greatest warrior, silenced not by the sword, but by his own body. And if that's not chilling enough, let's go to 1518 in Strasbourg. Out of nowhere, hundreds of people began to dance uncontrollably. For hours, then days, then weeks. They danced until they collapsed. Some literally danced themselves to death. Historians still debate whether it was stress, poisoned food, or mass hysteria. But for 2 months, the city was trapped in what became known as the Dancing Plague. Absolute power doesn't always mean absolute wisdom. Just ask Rome's Emperor Caligula. He once threatened to make his horse a senator. He was assassinated before he could actually do it, but historians believe he was serious. England's Henry VIII wasn't much better. He had grooms of the stool whose official job was to wipe his backside after using the bathroom. And if that sounds humiliating, get this. He knighted 4 of them. Imagine being rewarded for royal toilet duty with the title of Sir. Across the ocean, President Andrew Jackson's funeral in 1845 had to pause because his pet parrot wouldn't stop swearing loudly in front of mourners. The bird was removed for obscene language. And then there's President Lyndon B. Johnson. Known for his bluntness, Johnson would actually continue interviews and meetings while sitting on the toilet, door wide open. Staffers, reporters, anyone unlucky enough to be there had to continue business while the president took care of his own business. Power corrupts. But sometimes, it just makes people weird. Humanity has believed some pretty wild things. In 1820, the town of Salem, Massachusetts, famous for witch trials, put tomatoes on trial. People thought they were poisonous. To prove them wrong, Colonel Robert Johnson ate an entire basket in front of a crowd. He didn't die. Tomatoes were declared safe. The irony? The same town once burned people alive for being witches. Go back a few centuries, and Pope Gregory IX declared cats to be agents of the devil. He ordered mass exterminations across Europe. But less cats meant more rats, and some historians think this may have made the spread of the plague even worse. And when forks were introduced in the 11th century, some religious leaders called them blasphemous. Why? Because eating with artificial hands supposedly offended God. If that's true, imagine what he thinks of Twitter. Not all discoveries are what they seem. Did you know Uranus was discovered before Antarctica? Astronomers identified the planet in 1781, but Antarctica wasn't confirmed until 1820. Think about that. Humans spotted a frozen world 3 billion kilometers away before they noticed the frozen continent on their own planet. Then there's the Voynich manuscript. Written in the 15th century in a language nobody can read. Hundreds of pages filled with strange symbols, unknown plants, and bizarre diagrams. Some say it's a lost code. Others say it's an elaborate prank. To this day, it remains one of history's great mysteries. And the Titanic? We all know it sank in 1912. But here's the secret. When oceanographer Robert Ballard found the wreck in 1985, it wasn't just a research trip. It was actually a cover for a top-secret Cold War mission to locate 2 lost nuclear submarines. Once that job was done, he had extra time. So he found the Titanic too. Even Albert Einstein got caught in the absurdity of history. In 1952, Israel offered him the presidency. He turned it down, saying he didn't have the natural talent to deal with people. Probably a fair call. Some of history's darkest figures come with unbelievable footnotes. Hitler, for example, personally ordered the creation of the Volkswagen Beetle. The people's car. At the same time, medical records show he was taking around 30 different drugs a day. Some to control his chronic farting problem. Yes, really. A dictator brought down not by armies, but by his own stomach. Then there's Fidel Castro. Assassins tried to kill him over 600 times. With poison diving suits. Exploding cigars. Even a plan to make his beard fall out. None worked. Castro lived to age 90. Meanwhile, during Prohibition in the US, officials grew so frustrated with bootleggers stealing industrial alcohol that they decided to poison it. Tens of thousands died after unknowingly drinking it. All in the name of enforcing the law. When power mixes with paranoia, the results are as absurd as they are tragic. Some of the strangest facts in history are about time itself. Like in 46 BC, when Julius Caesar extended the calendar year to a whopping 445 days just to fix the seasons. Imagine living through the longest year in history. Or take this perspective. Cleopatra lived closer in time to the invention of the iPhone than to the building of the pyramids. Think about that the next time history feels ancient and distant. From rabbits defeating Napoleon, to a man surviving 2 atomic bombs, to a dictator fighting his own digestion. History is full of stories that sound too absurd to be true. And yet, they happened. And the wildest part? These are just a fraction of the tales buried in the past. So if you want more unbelievable but true stories, stick around. Because history's strangest chapters are still waiting to be told.